Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over how to deal with like terms and what like terms are. And we're also going to be dealing with something called the distributive property, which is really just how do we multiply one term into a bunch of other terms at the same time. So let's get into it. Okay, so first a definition. So distributive property is when we multiply one term into every other term in a bracket. And just so you know, when I'm referring to the word term, I mean anything that's separated by a plus or minus sign. So for example, if I have 3 times 2x minus 4, because the 2x and the 4 are separated by a minus sign, they are two separate terms. But the 2 and the x are the same term because they're separated by technically multiplication, but not a plus or a minus sign. So what the distributive property tells us is that this term that's outside the bracket needs to get multiplied into both of the other terms in the bracket. And so if I do 3 times 2x, that leaves me with 6x. And then 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. So that would be my answer. Okay, when it comes to like terms are terms that can be added or subtracted from one another. Unlike terms, you can multiply and divide, but you can't add or subtract them. And so when we're talking about like terms, we mean either constants. So constants are numbers that don't have a variable with them. So like -3 and 4 are both constants, they would be like terms. Or it could be terms that have the same variable and degree. So for example, 3x and -x both have the same variable and degree, which just means like exponent. So those would be like terms. 3x squared and -4x squared both have the same variable, so both have the x's and are both squared, so they are like terms. 3x and 3x squared are not like terms because one is an x squared and one is an x. Those are not like. Okay. So what we want to do in order to gather our like terms so we can add or subtract them and then simplify our equations is to get all of our like terms on the same side of the equal sign as one another. And then different types of like terms should be on different sides of the equal sign. And then we just add or subtract our like terms together and simplify. So just to reiterate what I just said, when we're dealing with like terms, step 1 is to move all of the like terms to the same side of the equal sign, and different types of like terms go to different sides. At any time we're moving something from one side of the equal sign to another, we're always doing that with opposite operations. Our second step is then to simplify our like terms by adding or subtracting them. And then our last step would be to actually solve for x by isolating it. So let's run through an example of what this would look like. Okay, so in this example here, as you can see, I have some distributive property that can be happening on this side, and then I've got a fraction on the other side to deal with. So my very first step is going to be to distribute. That always needs to happen before I can deal with any like terms. So I'm going to multiply my 3 into both the x and the 4. So that leaves me with 3x plus 12 equals 4 minus 2x over 3. The next thing that I'm going to do is start moving all of my like terms to the same side. So I might decide to move this 12 to the other side to be with the 4. So to do that, because it's positive 12, I would subtract 12. That would leave me with 3x equals 4 minus 12 minus 2x over 3. And it doesn't matter what order I put these last two terms in. Then I want to get rid of that fraction. And you can do that as the second step or the third step. But I do want to get rid of my fraction. And the way we get rid of fractions is, as we talked about before, you always have to move whatever the term on the bottom is. And so I will have to multiply by 3. And when I do that, I actually need to multiply every single term by 3, not just the other side. So I'll multiply by 3. 3x times 3 is 9x. 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 12 times 3, probably, is that negative 36? Yes. And then minus 2x. Then I'm going to continue, oopsies, that should be a 3, gathering my like terms. So I've already got my 2 constants on the same side. I now need to move my 2x to the other side. Because right now it is a minus 2x, I will add 2x to move it to the other side. That gives me 11x is equal to 12 minus 36, which is negative 24. So what I've now done, where I combine my x's together, I actually add them together, and same with my constants. That is my simplify step. And then the very last step is going to be to solve, and we do that by isolating the variable, which means I need to get the x by itself. So I divide by 11. And negative 24 divided by 11 is negative 2.18. Repeating would be my answer. Okay, so that's it. As long as you follow these steps, distribute if needed, get rid of your fraction if there is a fraction, and we do that by multiplying every single term by the denominator. Then gather our like terms, so move everything from one side of the equal sign to the other to get all of our x's together or all of our constants together. Then simplify, so actually add or subtract your like variables. And then your very last step should be to get the x by itself by dividing away whatever is right next to it. Okay. If you follow those 5 steps, you should be able to gather like terms and simplify whatever equation you're given.